2016 has not been an easy year, actually quite a turbulent one. We saw Brexit, we saw Marine Le Pen in France, we saw upheaval in Italy, the anti-immigrant Alternative for Germany party, and then we saw Donald Trump. And the theme of this year's annual meeting for Davos is responsive and responsible leadership. It doesn't seem to be the kind of message we're seeing coming from everywhere from Europe to North America. Why did the WEF come up with this topic for this year?
I think if you see all the challenges the world is facing, you just mentioned, one thing is pretty clear. The world never needed a platform such a World Forum stronger than today. You need really global cooperation to address all the challenges in terms of growth, how to foster growth, how to address the fourth industrial revolution, how to update the market economy, talking about global governance, and at the end, talking about identity. And all this is from our end, captured by the headline, responsive and responsible leadership. So we need both. Fast response, but always a responsible answer to the questions of the world.
Now, Chinese President Xi Jinping is going to be the first Chinese president to attend the WEF in Davos. Why do you think China has chosen to participate at this particular moment? What do you think is the message China wants to bring to the world?
So first, we are very delighted to welcome His Excellency, the Chinese President, as well as a huge delegation with other ministers and the business delegation also. And yes, so I think we see some discussions across the world questioning the globalization. And at the same time, we do have now the President of the People's Republic of China here in Davos, which in itself is a strong symbol, a strong statement, because it's an outreach from our understanding to the rest of the world, from People's Republic of China, saying in this time we do need even more globalization, more global cooperation, and we would like to take a major part of this.
How do you think President Xi is going to persuade the people? Because people don't need to be told more of the benefits of globalization. We all see it in our daily life. But what people were not expecting were the fallout from globalization. Some parts of the population have been left out in the employment, in the process of automation and all of that. How can President Xi persuade people that although globalization has brought some problems, it is still the right path to go forward?
I'm not even sure if all the people will see the benefits of globalization, because quite often today the downsides are emphasized. So it's even more relevant to have such a relevant public figure here in Davos talking about both sides of globalization. And if we see still a globalization by the economy, by the companies, I would say that it would be maybe the wrong way to come from the policy point of view more to a regional or even national approach. Because if still the economy is going global, but politics is going regional, how will you control in the future the economy? So I'm very curious, and I know that the global community is curious, so how the Chinese president will address the need for globalization. And one example, so we hope to even that the president will highlight his idea of one belt, one road, because that is really a strong statement in terms of global economy and global trade.
Mm-hmm. Now, one concept he has mentioned during on various occasions before this, and he has been trying to explain to his counterparts and to people around the world, is the community of shared destiny. And I'm pretty sure he's going to mention that again and elaborate on that again. And this is a concept that China has come up to bring changes to the world, to forward the kind of economic and political development we have been trying to forge ahead. How do you see this concept, a community of shared destiny? Do you think he's going to be able to sell this idea more effectively this time?
I think the people are really interested in learning from the Chinese president. And you're right, in times as of today, we do need this understanding that we are a global community, and that there's certainly a joint destiny, and that we have to cover it, and that we can only cover it together. That is, from my understanding, a strong appeal for global collaboration and cooperation, which is, by the way, the sentiment, the character, the spirit of our annual meeting here in Davos.
And over the past few years, if we remember correctly, actually for quite a few years, there have always been people protesting the Davos annual meeting outside the Congress venue, saying globalization was not good. And from what we're seeing now, it seems that these people were right. Do you agree? Do you think that Davos need to address the issue of globalization differently?
So after the demonstration we had in the year 2000 and the following, so we started, of course, to emphasize that we are an open platform with fair and open discussions. And suddenly, all the protesters, it was in the past, like Attack and others, they realized that they do need, in times of globalization, global discussion. They should take a peaceful part of this. And since then, we have then incubated many, many constructive discussions. So we are not worrying about. And again, so the forum is opening the platform to discuss some major issues in terms of globalization, and that exactly will happen. And it's not on us to judge anything, but to open these forum for having really global cooperation among the different stakeholders. Policymakers means politicians, business leaders, civil society, as well as the next generation, the youth. It's their future, and so I think that is the right approach to address the question marks many people have in terms of globalization. So we will not only highlight the benefits, that is maybe not sufficient. No, we will really address that, the right way to address all the challenges coming with the globalization can only be solved together.
Yes. Now, the U.S. President Donald Trump is going to inaugurate just days, even at the same time, while the Davos annual meeting would be going on. And given the kind of message we're seeing from the president-elect, he has voiced repeatedly he wants to make America first. He wants to stop the kind of negative influence of globalization and put the people in his country ahead of everything else. How do you look at the contrast that's being shown between the US's approach and China's approach at this time?
So it's not on the World Economic Forum to judge anything particular in the week before the inauguration. But we are delighted to have also one representative out of President-elect's transition team. Anthony Scaramucci will have a session here in Davos as well. And so I think he will develop the economic strategy, certainly giving some answers in terms of globalization and the new approach by the U.S. administration.
Finally, President Xi will be leading a group of business executives, including Jack Ma, Wang Jianling, Zhang Yaqing, Sun Yafang, and so on. Size and scale of the Chinese delegation will be, I guess, the biggest in history as well. And this will be allowing more Chinese voices to be heard in many of these global discussions.
We are, again, very delighted to have such a huge, relevant, and impactful delegation welcoming here at the annual meeting in Davos. And yes, you're right, it's a strong signal and a symbol and a statement that we are truly a multipolar world.